Okay, thank you very much for joining me for today's Lunch and Learn. Today we're going to talk about some explain plan internals. Should be fun. So let me get the crayon going here while you review my and I'll change the color. Oops. Change the color to red so we can see it better. Okay, very good. Okay, there's my short disclaimer. And I am an Oracle ACE director. I do these Lunch and Learns in part to share my technology with you, the masses. It is one of my ACE director agendas. The ACE director title also gets me some cool input from the optimizer group and from other groups internal to Oracle. I usually meet with these people at Oracle Open World, and I have done so past years. Today's topic are some of the things that I've learned from this group, sharing with you. I regularly blog. I also tweet. And the very last slide will have my Twitter address. Basically, I tweet out, if I've got a good blog, I'll tweet the link out to a good blog that I've done. So today is the Lunch and Learn, the short lessons. I have a number of video courses out on Safari Books Online. If you have a Safari account, you already have access to my classes. Just go out, look up my name. The classes are purchasable. I also have links on my website. There's some links there, but there's some links on my website that will get you a discount. But do let your HR department or your training department know this information. Also let them know that I'm available to come on site, do training, or do training over the web. I call it instructor-led training. I do have a portable computer lab, so it makes it all very easy. And there's a short list of my courses. I do a lot of the SQL performance tuning and a lot of the advanced PL SQL. The advanced PL SQL could easily be called new features for developers. So, and it's full of Oracle 12 options already. So, OBIEE, we just did a presentation a couple weeks ago on this. I have a video out on it. Can come on site and do those as well. So, anyway, Toad, new Toad book, again, discount on my website. I'll wait till this appears. There we go. Okay. The Lunch and Learn schedule. This is last week's. February 9th was kind of a bust, but we're going to try it again today. March 9th, I'm going to kind of go to a monthly Lunch and Learn. So anyway, Oracle March 9th, I got some new features, including pluggable databases and some new things that are coming up in Oracle, Oracle 12 Release 2. I know a lot of folks are not on Oracle 12 yet. And then Oracle Release 2, Oracle 12 Release 2 should be out this fall. I don't know, but it's in beta right now. So I would think that Oracle would put it out by Open World. I don't honestly know, but I don't know why not. April 4th, I have a lot of material on Oracle 12 partitioning. So, and again, it contains some new features. So some cool stuff coming up with the Lunch and Learns. All right, today we're going to talk about some advanced features of displaying explain plans, and it's all centers around the DBMSX plan package. Okay, it used to not be documented. Now it's documented in the PL SQL built-in packages. I probably would have documented it in the performance tuning guide, but that's just me. There's the old DBMSX plan. Oh, that's the type, but there's a DBMSX plan in here. There it is. Display plan. We got some different format stuff, but basically display AWR, display cursor. And just display. I'm sorry, just display. DBMSX plan dot display is the one that will give us an explain plan. The display cursor will give us the explain plan that it executed with from the last SQL statement that was run. Display AWR lets us look up explain plans for the past 7 days. You need a SQL ID, but I've got some cool scripts that are, I don't know if they're in this presentation or not, but I have some cool scripts that allow you to look up SQL state explain plans from partial SQL text. So we're going to look at several of these features. All right. First thing that I want to talk about is you can display this outline, okay? And outline is just a series of hints that you can dump into a SQL statement, and it will give you the exact same explain plan. Now, I'm not for really doing this so much, and I'm going to come back to this next piece here in a moment. But I wanted to show you what it looked like. There we go. When you do that, you populate the plan table, explain plan for, put the syntax explain plan for your SQL statement, and then run it, and it will come back and say explained, and then it populated the plan table. Then you run this syntax, okay, and it will pull out this information. And we see a lot of hints down here, okay, and there's the slash asterisk plus, and there's a asterisk slash underneath there, so you can just copy and paste these in. But there's some useful learning here, like optimizer feature enable, ignore embedded optimizer hints, DB version. Okay, so you can roll an individual SQL statement back to a particular version. These upper ones here, these hints, give us these hash, the order of things. And you notice that we will get the exact same explain plan if you follow down through there. So that's the outline. The reason I point this out is you've got some stubborn SQL statements. You want to make sure and you get them working right. Run a outline on it. See what hints that it would have put in if so desired. And then you can pick and choose from this list of hints. The other thing is, heaven forbid that you have any rule-based SQL statements in your systems anymore, but if you do, this is a good way of getting them over to the cost-based. This will work against a rule-based SQL statement. So again, you would put the explain plan for, and then run this dbmsx plan.display, and it will give you the outline. So the thing that I wanted to focus on today is this select plan output format all stats last. Okay, it works in conjunction with a hint. Okay, and this works pretty good. What this will do is, you notice this explain plan gives us cardinality and our cost numbers, of course. This one here, you put the gather plan statistics in, and there's our cost-based numbers that I just showed you. There's the actual, okay, actual row counts. And when I'm doing performance tuning and I got a problem SQL, I need to see the actuals, okay? I've talked about SQL trace. I used to run the 1046 trace to SQL trace to get this actual number. The row counts that come out in that explain plan is the actual. And you need the actual because if you've been reading my blogs, doing any following at all, this order of the join conditions matters. Nested loops are larger to smaller, hash joins are smaller to larger, okay? And then I go into great detail, not only in the class, the video, but in several blogs on the performance aspects of getting this in the wrong order. So you really do need to see the actual order. By the way, when it runs like this, Oracle 11 uses this as cardinality feedback. It will review the row counts, and if it ran for a long period of time, it might review and come up with a different explain plan. Oracle 12, we're calling these SQL directives. Okay, it's gonna collect these actual row counts for your table joins, your tables and your major join conditions, and share them amongst other ones. So Oracle's going right down this path of collecting the actual information as well. So you really do need this actual row count when you're working with a problem SQL statement. Okay, so here's one where we got a hash join, estimated rows, and this is one from my class, a Teams Master and Manager one. There's our gather plan statistics hint, and I ran it. Okay, we look down here in the bottom, we got a hash join. Hash join is smaller to larger, okay? And then what comes out of there is this 6,000, okay? What comes out of there is this, and it's going to compare to this for this next hash join, okay? And so it's smaller to larger as it would appear. But the actuals, notice, one of the things that I say in the class is when the math starts going bad for the cost-based optimizer, it makes poor guesses, or the math just isn't right, and it comes up with a different row count, it seldom self-corrects as it goes up the explain plan tree. Okay, so what it really came out of here with was 94,000 rows, not 6,000 rows. Now we're going larger to smaller, and that was the performance issue with this particular one. So you really do need to see the actuals when you're doing performance tuning. Now, what I've shown you here, and I'm going to jump out and do a quick demo of this, but there's our estimated, there's my SQL Tuner tool. Okay, I've renamed it to SQL Tuner. This is absolutely free, and in the plan window, I'm going to demo this. I put this syntax in. I spot, if this is the very first hint, I spot it and run this syntax instead of the auto trace. Okay, so I do this for you. Aren't I the good guy? And let's just, I'm going to minimize this and open this. And explain this. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to log in real quick. It is freeware, and there's my. Alright. And I've done quite a few things with this. I wrote this initially because people didn't always have Toad when I was teaching the class. SQL Developer didn't exist yet. And so I put this history out there. There's the history. There's the gather plan statistics for these. I'm going to go up here and find that ABC table example. It's just easier to find it in here. Maybe not. Maybe it's not. I seem to have it a lot with along in conjunction with the QB name, which I put that in there in this tool as well. So I'm going to copy this and clear. And then I got indexes. You can see the indexes that are available. You can open SQL from the file. You can copy and paste it in. There's a whole bunch of hints in here. Okay, whole bunch of hints. In fact, let's do that. I'm going to go back to the history. And we're going to go up here and find that ABC example. And I'll show you the explain plan that it would have normally. There it is. And I'm going to go ahead and run this. And when it pops up here, by the way, then it's done running. There's our query results with timing set on. There's my explain plan. There's just an auto trace explain plan. So if I do this, if I go back to the hints, I can close this, go back to the hints, and I'm going to copy this one out. I wish I could have gotten drag and drop to work, but it didn't. Copy. Just remember, it has to be the first hint. Okay, it has to be the first hint. Because I look for the gather thing there, and you have to run it, and it pops up, so it's done, and there's my explain plan, and it didn't work. Don't you just hate it when demos go this way? Okay, what's wrong here? Let's go back to this, and let's try it this way. Run. It's very picky. I'm sorry that it's picky, and there it worked. I had an extra space in there, so there's the estimated and the actual row counts. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and exit out of this, just because I got other things to demo, and we will go back to the presentation. All right, so that is our completely free tool. Just have to ask me for it. The explain plan is a visualization of the execution plan, how Oracle is going to resolve it. I go into great detail on this. You know, watch the video or read some of my blogs. I also put up a little book on these. It's out on Amazon. So the order is very important, as we've talked about. Okay. So I'm going to go back to and get my pen back. So the order is very important. Lots of ways to produce the explain plans, and I was just showing you one. There's the select count from with the auto trace turned on. You get some statistics. My tool shows the statistics as well, but there's the auto trace. They all populate this plan table. Oracle 10G made a virtual table out of this. Okay, so it's very nice. It's a nice feature. It's called Plan Table $. Oracle 10, you had to put a public synonym up for it. Oracle 11 and 12 have the public synonym created already. So if you just use the explain plan for syntax, it's going to populate this one. Make sure you don't have a plan underbar table in your schema. Sometimes developers, you get a new release of Oracle, a new environment to test on, you export and import your schema, and if you have a plan table in there, the tools all look for that first. The upside is it'll work. The downside is you might be missing some very useful information here. So they all use the plan table. When you execute the older oracles, we ran this script. I'm sure the script still works. I'm sure the script is still updated. But I would use this plan table $, and either point your tool right at it or put a synonym up to this. Okay. So the SQL plan stores your SQL statements in the library cache. Okay. After when you submit them for execution, Oracle stores them. Okay. $SQL is the parent cursor. $SQL area is the child cursor, and shows you all kinds of statistics, and it shows you the SQL statement. Okay, shows you the bind variables. So AWR stores this information for up to 7 days. It stores it in DBA HIST SQL text. You get the SQL ID, use DBMS explain plan.display, pass it to SQL ID, and it will look up any of these explain plans. Okay. To see the bind variables, I use this view, $SQL bind capture, and some important fields are the name of the bind variable, the position it is passed in, the data string type, this is very important, and the value. Okay, so very, very useful information when you're going after bind variables. Bind variables are also used for Oracle 11 adaptive cursor sharing. This is an extension of the bind variable peaking. If you're getting poor performance, it executed fine once, getting poor performance the next time it executes, Oracle's going to kind of monitor this. It will eventually look at the bind variable. If you have a histogram on it, it's going to look it up and see if the data is different. Why would it be different? Because the data is skewed. It's a name field. You looked up Smith or Jones, and then maybe you looked up a Hotka or something. Very low row count, perhaps. Where Smith and Jones would have a very large row count, perhaps. Okay? So at any rate, bind variables are very important to processing your SQL statement in the library cache. So make sure to ensure a quick execution every time. When you know the data is skewed, you can fake up some hints. This will give you different SQL statements. Okay, the text is subtly different. Your application has to allow for this. Probably difficult to manage, but it would indeed work. Okay, so my active SQL program shows you the current executing SQL, and if you notice the tabs, it's an extension of the SQL tuner I just showed you. It works with any Oracle, cloud, remote, on-site, standard edition Oracle. Doesn't need anything special because it's just using bind $, tables, not the AWR table. So it shows you a variety of things, and it's very cost effective. And let me bring that up and show it to you now. Give you a quick demo of that. Let's see here. There's this, and what I think I discovered from last week was I had both of these open at the same time to try and be ready for the class, and it didn't work very well for me. There we go. Log in. Yes. And user 1. Okay. And I already showed you the same explain plan stuff is there. Okay, this is active SQL. But what I wanted to show you was the current SQL statement that's currently running. This is all the stuff I've been submitting. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff that my user ID has been submitting. And remember, I was just logged in. So there's some of the dictionary SQL. If I want to see what is this just currently executing, you type in active in this box. Active. And click on find. Now, that's what's currently executing, is this update statement, okay? That's what's currently holding things up. There's its event. We got some lot contention here. Notice I didn't do the math on the minutes. I started it up this morning, so it's been running for quite a while. But I wanted to show you a long-running query. It's only executed once. And there's the SQL text. We highlight this SQL ID. Watch this. Highlight this SQL ID. And click on go. And then go over here pretty quick. There's our SQL statement. There's an enhanced explain plan. It's going to give us our query block information. There's the outline I just talked about. There's the where clause predicates, and there you can tell what's being compared to what, the data types, the whole bit. Okay, that's very useful information. This particular one had no bind variables in it, but if it had bind variables, they would have shown up. And I think if this is, let's see if I don't think I have it here. Doggone it. There it is. We go down through this doc sheet. I just wanted to show you this real quick. This is available out on my website. But I wanted to show you one with some bind variables. It is an enhanced explain plan too, by the way. And I talk about that. Here's some bind variables. Let me open this back up to make sure you can see this. There you go. You can see some bind variables. And then down here, there's some, it's full of bind variables. There's the bind variables and the bind variable content. Okay, these are the peaked binds, but we go down a little further and I show you all the bind variables, their data types, and their value. Okay, and that's basically that query that I was showing you earlier in this presentation. The other thing that this tool can do that's pretty cute, we'll go back to this, is let's go back to the active SQL and we type in DBA into this window. And it shows me everything in the library cache. So there's a few things it can do. The other thing that was kind of nice, there's everything that's in the library cache. And you can do partial string searches. That's what the search window is all about, actually, is to put partial string search in there. So you can look for different SQL statements. Highlight the SQL ID, press the go button. It'll give you the explain plan for it. The other thing that this does, oh, I didn't put it in there. I already wiped it out. Let's go back. I put the SQL statement in that you're currently working on. I dump it into that. Dump it in there. So let's find our, let's just do the imp search on imp. EMP and do a find, and there's the SQL statements that have emp in them. There's the one with our bind with our processing. I'm going to go ahead and click on and highlight that and go. There's our explain plan. There's our SQL statement. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this, and we're done with this too. And we'll wrap up the all right. So I showed you some useful explain plan syntax. I showed you how they're embedded in some of the tools that I give away. The slides and the link to this presentation will be available shortly on my website. Tell your friends about these lunch and learns. The next one is in March. Thank you for attending. Keep in touch, and do remember me for your training needs.